Right now, your wrist or your phone is telling you something your ancestors could not have understood. Not the number, the idea behind the number. A unit of time, sliced off from the day and named, like a piece of meat at a butcher's counter. You look at it. You decide if you're late. You move faster or you don't. For 300,000 years, every human who ever lived knew exactly what time it was without that little glowing rectangle. They knew it in their skin. They knew it in their stomach. They knew it in the angle of the light. And your body still remembers. So here's the question nobody really asks. How did anyone, anywhere, plan a hunt, meet a friend, finish a meal, or know when to leave the cave for 99.9% of the time humans have existed? Because the answer is not, they just guessed. They did not just guess. They were, by every measurable test we can run on a hunter-gatherer alive today, often more accurate than you are. In 1962, a French geologist named Michel Siffre lowered himself into a cave in the Alps and stayed there for 2 months with no clock, no sun, no signal of any kind. He came out convinced he had been underground for 25 days. He had been underground for 63. Hold that number for a second. Without the outside world, his mind shaved off more than a month of his own life. The clock you are wearing is doing something for you that you cannot do for yourself anymore. So what did they use before the clock? They used 3 things: the sky, the body, and each other. None of these things is gone. You just stopped reading them. Start with the sky. Your ancestors did not need a watch because the watch was hanging directly above their heads, moving across the dome of the sky at a speed so consistent that any child could learn it by the time they could walk. The sun rose. The sun crossed. The sun set. In between, it cast a shadow, and the shadow was a hand. A Hadza forager in northern Tanzania today, the closest living analog to a pre-agricultural lifeway, will tell you the time by pointing at where his own shadow falls on the ground, halfway between his feet and the length of his body. 2/3, a finger length past noon. He's not estimating. He's reading. At night, the sky kept telling. The stars rotate roughly 15 degrees an hour, and once you know which star rose with the sun in any given month, you have a clock accurate to within about 10 minutes, free of charge, visible to anyone who learns to look up. The Mursi of the Omo Valley still time their seasonal moves by the rising of specific stars. So did the Polynesians. So did the Egyptians 4,000 years ago, when they timed the flooding of the Nile by the appearance of Sirius at dawn. Now, the body. This is the part most people miss. You have an internal clock, not metaphorically. A real one, ticking in the suprachiasmatic nucleus, a cluster of about 20,000 neurons sitting just above the place where your optic nerves cross. In 1972, 2 researchers, Robert Moore and Friedrich Stephan, working independently, traced the entire mammalian sleep-wake cycle to that one cluster. It runs on a 24-hour rhythm, even if you put it in total darkness. Your hunger spikes on the same beat. Your body temperature drops at the same hour every night. Your alertness peaks twice a day. None of this needs a clock. All of it is a clock. Now the last one, and the strangest, each other. In small camps, time wasn't a number. It was a social fact. You ate when the food was ready. You hunted when the others were standing up. You slept when the fire got low and someone you trusted closed their eyes. Anthropologist Polly Wiesner, who spent over 40 years with the Jew/Hoansi of the Kalahari, recorded their night conversations and found something almost no one in the West has now. The camp didn't have appointments. It had a rhythm. You knew it was time for a story the way you know a song is ending. This isn't speculation. It's in the bones, and it's in the stone. In 1908, in a rock shelter at Lossel, in southwestern France, a French archaeologist named Jean-Gaston Lalanne uncovered a small carved figure, now called the Venus of Lossel. She is 25,000 years old. In her right hand, she holds a curved object marked with 13 notches. 13. The number of lunar cycles in a year. The number of menstrual cycles in a year. Almost exactly. Researchers have debated her meaning for over a century, but a 2014 analysis by anthropologist Alexander Marshak, expanded by later scholars, made the case that the notches are a calendar, a body, a moon, a count. Now go further back. At a site called Blanchard, also in France, Marshak examined a small bone plaque from roughly 28,000 years ago and found 69 markings arranged in a serpentine pattern. He matched the marks, notch by notch, against lunar phases. They lined up across more than 2 months. 28,000 years ago, someone was tracking the moon on a piece of bone they could carry in a pouch. And at Lubombo, in the border cave region between South Africa and Eswatini, a baboon fibula was found with 29 deliberate notches carved into it. The bone is roughly 43,000 years old. 29 is the average length of a lunar month. This is the oldest mathematical object on Earth. It is a clock. And here's where it stops being history and starts being you. You think you don't have it. You do. Your body is still running every one of those instruments at the same time. The sun still resets your hormones every morning, even through the window of a moving car. Your hunger still arrives on a rhythm older than agriculture. You still feel, in some quiet part of your nervous system, when a room has shifted from afternoon to evening, even if every light stays on. What changed is that you stopped trusting any of it. The clock on your wrist became the only voice in the conversation. So you eat when it says to. You sleep when it says to. You feel tired at the wrong moments and call it a flaw in you, instead of a flaw in the schedule. Time wasn't invented. It was extracted. A 2017 study by Horacio de la Iglesia and his team at the University of Washington compared 2 Toba/Com communities in Argentina, one with electricity and one without. The community without electric light slept longer, fell asleep faster, and reported almost no insomnia. The community with electric light slept shorter, reported worse mood, and described problems falling asleep. Same genes, same language, same village almost. One had a clock telling them what to feel. The other had the sky. So go back to the wrist for a second. Look at the number. Now look up. The sun is somewhere. The shadow of your hand is a certain length. The hunger you may or may not be feeling on a schedule older than your great-grandmother. The drowsiness that will arrive tonight has already been written into your blood by something that has nothing to do with the device in your pocket. None of that went away. You just stopped using it as a clock. For 300,000 years, your ancestors lived inside time instead of looking at it. They were not free of time. They were inside it the way a fish is inside water, and they knew the current the way a fish knows the current. Then we invented the clock, and we've been late for everything ever since. The cave is gone. The code is still here.